Author is funded by the Pacific Northwest Writers Association, supporting writers from pen to publication since 1955. To learn more about the PNWA and their yearly conference, please go to pnwa.org. Hi, this is Bill Kenower of Author Magazine, and today I am in the Seattle home of Candace Robb, a.k.a. Emma Campion, author of A Triple Knot. Candace, welcome to Author.
Thank you for having me.
Candace, from what I understand of your biography, you cut your teeth in writing in an unusual combination of genres, the mystery and the historical mystery.
Yeah.
But your love of history perhaps came first? Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a journalism major in college and then changed colleges and there was no journalism program. And so I had to become an English major. And I had to take, because I was registering late, I had to take a Chaucer class. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to hate this, because up until then, like existentialism and the absurd were my big thing.
Sure.
So Chaucer. But I had this teacher, Elizabeth Armstrong, who she was just this larger than life character, this tiny woman, but when she would start reading Chaucer in this amazing sort of Scandinavian lilt, we just all, first of all, we could understand it. Listening to it,
in the original?
We could hear it, and we could hear what the words were saying.
Wow.
And I just loved it. And Chaucer has this body humor. And she would just laugh. She had this kind of cackle, and she would just laugh at his jokes. And I thought, this is great. You know, this is as alive as anything modern I've ever read. And that's when I got really excited about the Middle Ages. And I'd always liked history, but I didn't think I was going to like reading the old literature. And I went to graduate school. Right out of that into medieval and Anglo-Saxon literature. I mean, it was just my thing.
And was your goal always, once you left school, even though you got an advanced degree, you were taking what could have been an academics career track? Mm-hmm. Was your eye always on fiction writing?
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to try it, but I really didn't seriously try it till I got out of grad school. I was at a point in grad school when I thought, actually nobody was getting very good jobs, and I thought, I'm going to be spinning around, you know, taking all these instructor jobs, and maybe I'll just get out, be an editor, and see what I can do with fiction. And first I wrote a whole bunch of science fiction, which was just...
Science fiction?
Yeah.
Science fiction?
And it was, I went to a workshop. I went to this great workshop in Cannon Beach. It was a 3-week workshop. And Vonda McIntyre was one of the teachers, and Lizzie Lynn was one of the teachers, and Ursula Le Guin was one of the teachers.
Wow.
And Ursula took me aside and she said, you are a very good writer, but you don't believe the science fiction you're writing, and you don't believe the fantasy you're writing, but when you write about the Middle Ages, it just comes to life. Why don't you focus on that?
Career advice from Ursula K. Le Guin.
I know.
How's that?
I know. It was just, and so I did that. You know?
Oh.
And I was instantly comfortable. I mean,
you didn't have to pretend to be someone you weren't anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I do like to weave a little magic or something into my stories, but they're really based so strongly in the history. I mean, A Triple Knot is completely about Joan of Kent, the wife, eventually the wife of the Black Prince, and her early life. And it's, you know, I'm connecting the dots of what we know about her. And that's where the creativity comes in. I mean, you read these facts about someone's life and you go, how did they get from here to there?
Yeah.
You know, and you have to know so much about the period to have access to the ideas of, well, where could this have come from? How could this have happened?
Now this is interesting, because your first published novels were historical, but they were mysteries.
Right.
Weren't they?
And you're a sleuth. I mean, I'm a historical
You're a sleuth. That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely, yep. I knew where you were going with that.
But you
yeah.
were. You're having to say,
Yeah.
so what were the
Yeah.
pieces there?
Yeah.
Because I know the evidence.
Yeah. Who were these people? Why did they behave the way they did? I mean, when I was doing the Scottish trilogy, I was really curious about how the Scots themselves coped with their own army burning the fields ahead of the British army, so that they were starving, and their homes were gone. I mean, that was. I just wanted to take time and feel that, and find some characters and have them experience it. I mean, it sounds pretty cruel, but
That's what fiction is.
That's it's that emotional experience of what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a historical sleuth.
Well, but you have to, I always say that nothing is as powerful as the authentic human curiosity.
Oh.
When it's truly your curiosity, then, because can't you lay your attention on something longer if you're really curious about it?
Oh yeah.
If you're not,
Oh
just,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And even when you think you've gotten an answer, it's not satisfying.
Maybe a little
You
more.
know, like what I was telling you about Alice Perez before, when I thought I knew her story for The King's Mistress, and then this friend of mine, this historian, came up with some new information that completely changed her story, and I thought, things start falling into place. That never made sense to me before, now it does.
Well, and so now you decide to come back to Owen Archer? You come
Yeah,
back to-
yeah.
All right, so and it's been 10 years, you said? Yeah. And you're still interested in Owen?
Yeah, oh, yeah, well, he's a hunk.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
nice to
yeah.
know.
And yeah, and I love him. I mean, I love the whole family and these characters in
But
York.
you've changed as a writer, haven't you?
And I've changed, and I'm actually, this week I've been spending my time writing a proposal for the sequel to A Triple Knot, to do Joan's story with the prince and her years with the prince. But they fed each other. Like, I've learned so much more about the history and particularly about what Owen's life would have been like as a soldier, because I've been writing about Joan's husband, her first husband, who was a soldier and who was in the 100 Years' War, and I had to have scenes of that. So I've thought a lot more about what Owen's life was like before he became the sleuth for the Archbishop of York, and I'm bringing that into it and some characters from that. But I've had to reread all the books.
Of course.
And I've listened to them.
Is that painful?
No, actually.
You don't mind rereading
I
it?
actually love my
Oh,
books.
good. No,
Isn't that
that-
awful?
No, that's
Oh my God.
awesome. Well, you should.
So my husband laughs because I'll be sitting in bed reading one of
This
my
one's
books.
pretty good.
I forgot that he did that.
That's good.
Yeah.
But so there's historical things you've learned, but have you changed do you feel that your narrative approach has changed?
Yeah, I
just
think so.
how you tell a story?
I think so.
I wonder if it's
And
going to affect
it's-
how you tell the mystery.
I think it is. Well, I told you I've torn this one apart 3
Yeah.
times, because now I really see how tightly I want to write it. How
Yeah.
everything is, everything has to resonate to a certain note through it. And actually, The King's Mistress I wrote in first person, which is the only book I've written so far in first person.
Yeah.
I might not do it again because it's so limiting. But it did really bring me even closer in
That's what it does.
to, when I change scenes whenever I change point of view, and I don't do a whole lot of points of view. But I even noticed it when in writing A Triple Knot, that I was very, very careful to be in the emotion of that character through that whole scene. And I hope that I used to do that, but I'm really aware of it now. Yeah. And it's changed the language a little bit.
Sure.
It's helped me stay away from any big chunks of history that, just a data dump that I wanted to put in there. It has to have some kind of emotional reason for being there. And so I think it's really changed. And I'm not as fast a writer anymore, which is a shame.
You're savoring your work, man.
Yeah,
more. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, Candace, I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
And what I'd like you to do is finish this sentence for me.
Oh, no.
You ready?
Okay.
You can do it. If writing has taught me anything, it's taught me what?
The heart is more important than the mind.
Amen. Yes. How did it teach you that?
Because sometimes when you're trying to reason through something, especially with a character, you can't figure it out. But if you just open your heart and think, how would this feel? You've got it.